Whoa! Hey, welcome to my Tech Cave for affiliate marketers. Today we're going to talk a bit about Core Web Vitals and specifically just one aspect of that, about removing unused CSS and removing unused JavaScript. So it's one small part, but it's a useful part, and I'm using this as an example today of something that you really shouldn't be too bothered about. Have a look at this here. You can see that basically there's so much in here now around the Google Webmasters and the Web Vitals. There's preload, there's eliminate, reduce, there it is, there's a reduce. You got the reduce unused JavaScript. And, you're scratching your head thinking, what do I do? Now let's have a look who this website belongs to. You're going to get a little bit of a shock. This website is YouTube. And it does not pass the Core Web Vitals. Ow! So stop getting stressed. Google's own sites are not passing its own tests. Core Web Vitals is very new. It's something really fresh. It's something that you should be chipping away at like a little dwarf and basically improving these things incrementally. You should be looking after the big boys and the big girls. That's basically your speed, your load speed. Now the Core Web Vitals basically has got so many parts of that, and today we're going to look at the CSS and why you shouldn't be bothered about it as an affiliate marketer. If you're using WordPress, you can't do a lot of stuff with it. It's a platform that's designed for ease of use. And it has a lot of unused JavaScript and CSS built in. And it has code loaded on every single page where it doesn't need it. Now that is built in by design for WordPress. You're not going to get away from that because WordPress is about simplicity. So if you're trying to get rid of all the unused JavaScript and CSS in WordPress, you're going to have a hard time because it's not designed to work that way. But there are tools, and I'm going to show you 3 of them very quickly today, just a brief overview. So if you did want to dive into this thing because you have some real problems that you might need to fix, then you've got at least 3 possible tools to have a look at. So that's my strongest piece of advice today. Don't get carried away by all these new Core Web Vitals stuff. There's just so much in here. But do pay attention to it. Don't ignore it, because you will need to improve things over time. So shall I show you those 3 tools now? Do you want to have a look? Shall we do it? Let's have a peek. Yahoo! So there's 3 tools I want to quickly share with you today. The first one is WP Rocket, which basically is a caching and a speed plugin that you can add for WordPress. If you haven't got that, go to getos.at/WP Rocket. It's a premium plugin. The next one I want to share with you is Asset Cleanup. This is a free plugin. And the third one that I want to share with you is Perfmatters, which is a premium plugin also. And it's very similar to Asset Cleanup. The two are very similar. They follow a different role. Where WP Rocket is very, very different. So in terms of cleaning up CSS and JavaScript, unused JavaScript and CSS, WP Rocket has a new function that's just been built into one of the later versions. So if you haven't got the later version, you will need to upgrade to get this. Under the File Optimization tab, there's a brand new option here, Remove Unused CSS. Now notice this is in beta. Now they would not put this in beta if there wasn't a few problems, potential problems with this. And as you can see here, we're still working on it. But they want to get it out here basically because of Core Web Vitals. I think that's why they've been pushing this out. So it can have problems, it can break your site. This is where you basically need to use a staging server. If you've got a pretty busy site, you should not be testing these things on your live site. You should be using a staging server. Check out this video here. This is basically all about staging servers. And it will show you how to create a staging server in 1 minute for $1. And so check out that video now. You'll find that pretty useful. If you go and click this here, WP Rocket is going to do the best it can to actually clean up the CSS. But to be honest, it's not an easy job. It's very challenging in WordPress, as I showed at the beginning, because a lot of the stuff is basically by design is needed on multiple pages. So that's why they haven't done it for a long period of time. But it's in here now and they're playing with it. Okay, let's have a look at Asset Cleanup and Perfmatters to talk about the 2 different ones. Asset Cleanup basically is a page-by-page tool. And if you want to access its main tool, you need to open up a page or a post and go into it and then change the settings for that particular page. There are some global settings, but that's where it's a little bit confusing because in here are some of the global settings, but the actual settings are on a page-by-page basis. This is a very good global setting in here though, the test mode. It's very good if you haven't got a staging server to basically play and see the results without actually breaking your live site for the public. So let's take a quick look at a page. If we come in here, edit this page, and you'll see down the bottom inside the page settings is the asset cleanup. And I tend to minimize this so that it's not got too much gumph on the page. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff. Now this plugin is not simple. It's fairly involved, but once you've used it a few times, it's pretty good. This is where basically Perfmatters comes in, but this is a paid plugin. You can actually switch things on and off, and it's a more user-friendly tool, but they basically do identically the same function. I tend to use asset cleanup because it's been around for a while. It's very stable. The guys who run this are rock solid guys, and I like what it does. I only tend to use this plugin really when I'm using WooCommerce sites, because it's the only time there's usually way too much code that is just not used, and it bulks up the homepage and really slows down the homepage, even though the code is often not used. The WooCommerce code is often not used on the homepage. So that's about the only time I really use this plugin. And as you can see in here now, there's a lot of different stuff, and briefly you can choose to unload it on this page. You've got site-wide stuff. There's a lot of stuff. You're going to have to watch a video on this and learn how to and use a staging server to play with it. And you can see that it's broken down into sections. So here's the plugins, here's the themes, there's the WordPress core. So you're really digging around in the nitty-gritties of the system. So that's why it's good. There are a few premium parts to this plugin, and which will basically, you can only unlock them if you've got the paid version. But in general, it's a pretty good plugin. I do recommend it. So that's just a really quick intro. I'm not going into any details today, just to give you those 3 options. So if you did want to go ahead and do this sort of stuff with your affiliate sites or any other sites that you've got, then that's great. So anyhow, check out this video here about staging servers. I'm sure you'll get a lot of value from watching that. I'm going to catch you in the next video, and thank you for keeping watching. Yahoo!